talk. He has many horticultural societies he belongs to. He's a frequent speaker.
Just say something.
Perfect. He's we've had him, I remember, I loved his speaker. He talked about blueberries. I learned so much from this gentleman on I thought you were a professor personally.
What?
I thought you were a professor how you talk. But I remember one of the questions someone asked him last time, can we get your email and phone number? And he said no, so don't ask. He lives on about a half acre over here, a coastal quarter acre coastal canyon. He has between 200 to 400 fruit trees and plants on his property. Many herbs, spices, coffees, trees. He grows at least 150 varieties of vegetables a year. It's got a lot of energy.
Kinds of vegetables, multiple varieties each.
And so we're going to hold our questions after, but a couple of questions they did ask in your talk. They asked about...
I got them all.
You got those. Okay, so with that, let's hear him talk.
Okay, now I'm going to thank you for the advance applause. Here I am again. It's him again. Look, let me know if I'm not talking loud enough, and hold questions till the end. When we get to questions, I'll put my hearing aids back in, but you'll have to speak loudly or get a translator who will speak loudly for you. Okay, couple of things. One, coffee plants. When you grow coffee and you get the fruit, there's a whole process of processing coffee. You put the fruit in water for an hour, and then you squeeze out the beans. But the fruit surrounding the beans should not be discarded. It can be eaten fresh. It's tasty. It has about half as much caffeine as the beans. And dried, it's called cascara, not the herb that's used as a laxative. It's a traditional tea. So you can dry the fruit, put them in a jar, and grind them when you want tea. It's very tasty by itself or added to other tea. It actually costs a fortune for the dried fruit, so don't waste that when you grow coffee. Okay, pawpaws, forgotten fruit, question mark, okay? Is it really forgotten? Okay, how many people here are growing pawpaws? Oh, 2 fellow lunatics. Anybody else? 3. Oh, Charlie Schaff here is a guest from the Orange County chapter. How many of you remember the legend of the Pied Piper of Hamelin? Okay, he's the Pied Piper of Pawpaws. Okay, he goes back to where he's from in the sticks in the Midwest and gets seeds and fruit and stuff and brings them back, and has been a promoter of pawpaws in the Orange County chapter for a long time. And he brought this very generously, this bag of seeds that he kept the right way, which I'll explain, and I will have them put it on the refreshment table, and whoever wants to grow them from seed, grab a bunch of these. It's extremely generous of him. Okay, the way this talk came about was Don Winterstein from the Orange County chapter writes periodically in the Fruit Gardener, the magazine of the rare fruit growers, his experience with particular plants. He's trying to share his knowledge as he's gotten more senior. Wonderful writer. He wrote an article about pawpaws, and I wrote a follow-up article emphasizing certain things, adding things, giving different perspective. He was very happy with the article, and we emailed about it. I talk to him all the time electronically. Very smart guy, genuine scientist. So I said, well, why don't we go around and give talks on pawpaw? You never hear talks on pawpaws. And he'll be the speaker and I'll be the discussant. And he thought about it and said, yes, but you're going to be the speaker and I'm going to be the discussant. So I looked it up. I did my research to make it a broader talk than just my experience. He was unable to make it today. He recently had a car accident and doesn't want to drive much in his mid-80s, sadly. But I want to acknowledge him, really smart guy. Okay. Let me just see. Okay. Pawpaws, Latin name, Asimenia triloba because it has three leaves when it germinates. It's the largest edible native fruit to the United States, except in Hawaii and the Florida Keys. It's a non-tropical, it's a temperate fruit, but it's the only member of the Annona family that's not tropical. Annona, Cherimoya, Adamoya, what's the one that starts with S?
Soursop.
What?
Soursop.
Soursop, thank you. And very unusual fruit. It was named by a French naturalist. I know it's so important to you who named it. His name is Michael Adamson. The Latin name came from the Native American term, and then we get to confusion. In the British Commonwealth in England, the name for papayas is Pawpaws, okay? So if you look it up in any of those cultures, pawpaw means papaya. Here we use pawpaw just to mean, oh, thank you. I guess I'm getting feedback. Okay, we mean something different than the limeys do. Okay, it grows naturally as an understory tree. It grows under other trees initially, so it's shaded in its native environment for the first few years in hardwood forests, generally near streams and rivers, in deep fertile bottomland or fertile hills. It can grow up to 40 feet tall and tends to sucker naturally to form thickets, like as if you're in the rainforest and need a machete to get through them. We'll talk about that in a minute. My history with pawpaws, I started reading them about them about 45 years ago, started growing them in 91. I now have only 15 pawpaw varieties, 5 cherimoyas in addition, including my self-pollinating one that there's an article about in the current Fruit Gardeners, 2 adamoyas, etc. At least 7 of my pawpaws are already bearing, 3 of them very heavily, and the others are clearly on the way. I started in 91 growing them, and I corresponded with Kirk Pomper, Pomper, at Kentucky State, which is the World Center for Pawpaw Research. I have all these letters, hard copy with him from 97 and 98. And then with Neil Peterson, who created almost all of the named varieties that are available. Thousands of years ago, pawpaws were eaten by mastodons, the hairy elephants, and bear-sized ground sloths, the size of grizzlies. Now, all animals like pawpaws. Rats, squirrels, possums, raccoons, bears, skunks, wild turkeys, you name it, okay? It was and is a favorite of Native Americans. They use it in multiple ways. Thomas Jefferson grew them and liked them. Despite his reputation, he was a truly horrible gardener and farmer. If you read his diaries, he was an idiot, but he really did introduce a number of things, and he deserves credit for it. He demystified tomatoes in the United States, which were thought to be poisonous, and all the rest. But he was terrible at growing, but he was adventurous. George Washington's favorite dessert was chilled pawpaws. Daniel Boone ate them when he was doing his trips, and pawpaws saved the life of the Lewis and Clark expedition because Sacagawea, their Native American female guide, knew about them. And most importantly, in the 1860 drought in Kansas, almost the entire state died, except there was a bumper crop of pawpaws and pecans. So they lived on pecans and pawpaws to get through the drought because they're plants that can tolerate some dryness. Okay, it's actually very well known It's not a forgotten fruit in large parts of the United States. But I have a book, beautiful book, an illustrated catalog of American fruits and vegetables from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Does not have pawpaws in it. Almost none of the books have pawpaws. Charlie just showed me a book on pawpaws that he might let you look at if you behave. There's very little literature out there. Why don't we hear about it and grow it? It's all his fault, right there. He's responsible. Okay. There in the United States, there are many pawpaw festivals annually. Each of them has a pawpaw queen. There are songs about pawpaws. There are towns, rivers, islands, high schools, etc. called pawpaw. It's the Ohio state fruit. There's a National Pawpaw Day. I mean, we just don't hear about it. It has many nicknames. It used to be called now the latest nickname is hipster banana. It's almost impossible to find a place that sells it because they're perishable and very hard to grow commercially. If you see them sold under the name of hipster banana, it's going to cost more than your car, okay? But other names for them were Hoosier banana, as in Indiana, Quaker's Delight, I don't know where that came from, Hillbilly mango, just all these names. It grows naturally going this way from Florida to Texas, north to New York, west to Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, 26 states, and around Lake Ontario in Canada. Grow naturally. Okay. Where do you get plants, everyone asks me? I would order them well in advance. They always sell out. If you go online to Peterson Pawpaws, unless it's changed, I should have looked to check, it's still there. There's a map that shows you every nursery in the United States that sells pawpaws. Neil Peterson stopped selling them, but he created this map. That's wonderful. Now, One Green World sells pawpaws. Hidden Spring Nursery, which is where I've gotten most of mine, which is a nursery in Tennessee grown by these two women. But hurry up, I think they're nearing retirement. The only local place, the Green Scene, which is an annual sale from the Orange County, sometimes has pawpaws. The fruit festival that was mentioned sometimes has pawpaws for sale. The only local nursery that sometimes has them is Papaya Tree Nursery in Granada Hills, but call in advance before you go. They list they have them, but they don't, they do, they don't, they do. Be careful where you buy them. I generally get an 80% survival rate.
$50 on up for 1
They
gallon.
can cost a fortune. Okay, I get an 80% survival rate. There's one place I brought from on a recommendation from a very, very knowledgeable rare fruit grower, and I had a 20% survival rate. I contacted the nursery. They sent me all new plants, 20% survival rate. It's the rootstock, whether it works in Southern California or not. So buy from places, ask someone how it's done, where they buy from, has it survived, etc. They are one of these rare plants that likes to be planted where there were other plants of that variety, blueberries and pawpaws, because there are microorganisms that they want. Blueberries because they have no root hairs on the plants. It's symbiotic with a certain fungus. I don't know why pawpaws like to be where there were other Annona plants. They do better. They're tap roots. They have a brittle single root that goes down, that develops very early. I would buy them when they're 1 to 2 feet tall, shipped in soil in those long pots. Try not to get them bare root if possible. Where should you plant them? I'm going to give you the recommendation that applies to all fruit trees. pH 6 to 6.5, well-drained soil, that's every fruit. Do you need to put them as an understory under other plants for the first few years? Only if you live in very hot areas. If you're coastal, you don't need to do that. If you're in Palm Springs, grow them in your basement, okay? Root barriers, okay. I'm going to explain root barriers because these things spread. They will show up 20 feet popping up from the original tree. Now, the root barriers help for at least 10 years, okay? This is what you do. By the way, I've never had them sucker within the root barrier circles, interestingly enough. Now, you should use root barriers when you plant jujubes. They also show up at a distance. They show up in my lawn. It's a problem. Okay. Now I plant 3 to 6 plants in each circle. It's work to dig the hole. You have to dig, depending on the size of the root barriers, I think they come 18, 24, 36 inches. You get them from Home Depot, irrigation places, etc. You lay them in the sun so they get warmed and they're pliable. You make them into a circle of 4 of them. Sometimes I do 3. There are these ribs that you put in that join them. Not ribs, there are these things, whatever you call them, that join them. And you make sure the ribs are on the inside because it directs the roots down and that the ridge is on top. It's work to do it, but it never needs to be done again. You do it once. You do it a month or 2 in advance before planting. You add whatever compost or whatever you want to let it equilibrate before you plant and let it, settle down so the soil level's not too low. They're almost never grown commercially, again, because they're hard to ship. They're labor intensive in picking, pollinating, etc. You really can't find them even in farmers markets almost ever. They're a very attractive tree. Supposedly they need 400 chill hours. That's absolute nonsense. Generally, chill hours are nonsense. The worst that happens if you have too few chill hours is you get less fruit. Okay, most chill hour stuff is for commercial growers, not for us. We're special. Okay, be careful when you grow them. Strange things happen. I had my first grafted pawpaw tree was called Prolific. I was hoping it was going to be prolific. Had gotten to 15 feet tall, was beautiful. And then I go out one day and there's water in the circle it was growing in. Thank you. Make sure to tell me if you're not hearing me, okay? And there was warm water in the circle. Tree was dead. What happened was there was a copper pipe from my heater in my garage going in my house. There was a pinhole-sized hole in the copper pipe. Had to dig it up and have a plumber come, killed the tree. So be careful. There's all kinds of things. Almost always your favorite tree gets killed by somebody or dies. It's punishment for having hopes. Okay. You organic mulch. Organic means something that was alive at some point. Do it heavily, but not within, the standard, not within 6 or 12 inches of the trunk, but they like having mulch. Watering, pretty much like all other trees, but they are drought tolerant and they are somewhat frost and heat tolerant. Fertilizing. The mulch, you don't have to fertilize them. You can just have the mulch once they get established. I don't feed them, but if you do so, do them twice a year in the spring and summer. Pruning, none required. I keep them to about 10 feet tall to 12 feet tall so I can hand pollinate them and harvest with just a step ladder. And prune off the longest leggy ones and the ones that are going to run on the ground because the animals are going to eat whatever happens when it's touching the ground anyway. And you have to be patient. You're going to plant it. If it lives, it's going to look like it's never going to grow. The first few years, it's establishing roots. It'll just grow a little bit, and then wham, it grows a lot. Don't expect 100% to survive. but most of them will if you get them the right place. They take from seed, according to research, 6 to 8 years to fruit from seed, okay? When they hit 6 feet tall. What are you shaking your head about?
I won't have enough time to grow the seed to have the plants.
You don't think you're going to live that
I
long?
don't know. So
Okay. Okay. We'll get to we'll get to his survival in the questions. Okay. They flower for the first 2 years of flowering without setting fruit. They'll get these little hand-like nubbins, and you think, "Oh, I'm getting fruit." Nope. Those are not fruit. They're seed things that fall off. The fruit comes after the first couple of years of flowering, so be patient. Everything you read says you need 2 trees of different varieties to cross-pollinate. Not true. Edgar Valdivia, who's one of the most experienced draft fruit growers, and I both have had the experience of hand-pollinating solitary trees. When I had only 1 tree flowering, I did that. We'll come to hand-pollinating in a minute. And both he and I got fruit, okay? But it was with hand-pollinating. Now, various things can pollinate pawpaws, but not what you think. The flowers like those, you know, in the botanical gardens, they have those extraordinarily smelly trees that, you know, they make a big deal about when they put up a flyer, a spike with flowers. This has a similar smell, but not, it doesn't spread. It's just local, but it smells like rotten something.
Oh.
So what people do sometimes, I would not do this, is they put rotten meat under the trees to attract flies, the flies that naturally pollinate them. Please don't do that.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. They will produce without your hand pollinating, but I'm going to read from the article I wrote about how to hand pollinate. Okay. I stay alert from when flowering is going to start because it happens really early spring, like early to mid-April. Look for the small beginnings of very fuzzy nubbins. They look like baby pussy willows, okay? And they'll grow really quickly. When they start to open, every 2 to 4 days, I took a brush from one of my daughter's child things of paintbrushes and just move it around on the inside. Nothing fancy, go flower to flower. Doesn't take that long. It's not complicated like doing it with cherimoyas. And I do it in the early to late afternoon, but you can do it anytime the sun is out. I do it for about 6 to 8 weeks, every 2 to 4 days, or until I get tired of doing it. And I get huge crops. They're the only fruit that motivates me to do that. It's the only thing I hand pollinate. Now, flowers bear on wood of the previous season, so don't prune off, you know, all of the old wood. Harvest, early August to early October. Mine look like I might be starting to harvest them within a week or 2. How do you know when to harvest? Well, in a second. You can get either solitary fruits, they can be bunches, why they're called bananas in some cases, or they can fuse, and you can get them with 2 or 3 fruit fused to each other, which is kind of cool. You pick them when they come off easily, when they get soft at all, when they change color, when they fall to the ground, and most importantly, if any of them shows signs of predation by animals, take all the fruit off right away, because once the animals get a taste, they'll be gone overnight.
Yeah.
Okay, it's remarkable. They last only a few days off the tree on the counter, a few weeks, unless you refrigerate, they're good up to a week. If you want to put them on the counter or in the refrigerator, don't put them near apples or bananas. They'll get, because of the ethylene gas they secrete, they'll rot right away. Now I freeze them, the pulp without the skin or seeds, and they can last a really long time. And then I use them to make the Pawpaws sorbet I bought for you guys to taste, which I'm going to have them put out there. I need to remember to give them 15 to 20 minutes to thaw out. Propagating, grafting, not T-bud. You can graft them any other way you want. Don, who couldn't come, is really... Do you graft them at all, Charles?
Cleft graft.
What?
Cleft graft.
He cleft grafts them. You know what a cleft graft is? It's the easiest graft. You make a split, you find a branch that's the right thing, the scion, you shave it down to fit where you're putting it, you try and match the cambium, and then you wrap it with, what's that plastic?
I use buddy tape.
What?
Buddy tape.
Well, he's fancy. I just use that parafilm
Yeah.
that clings and wraps. And now make sure to put a green tape on any way you put a graft, because I have made the mistake of pruning and looking down and there's my graft on the ground. You know,
Oh,
we all do that. So, you know, or put a neon sign on it or something. But you can graft them. You can do root cuttings, not good results. You can do them from seeds if you're smart, like Charles here. You put them in the fridge in a moist paper towel. They have to be in the fridge for 80 to 120 days.
There's the chill time.
What?
There's that chill time.
I can't hear you. Okay, 80 to 20 days, and because it imitates the winter where they normally are. There's poor survival of the suckers that come up if you dig them up and try and transplant them. They usually don't make it. The best you can do is try and use them as a rootstock where they are. Okay, graft to them in the ground. Not the greatest take, but a decent take. Okay. Animals do not eat the seeds. They will eat the fruit. So if you want to collect the seeds from the ground where they've eaten the fruit, that's a good way to go. The seed is hypoglossal. Okay, how many know what hypoglossal is? Come on, you must know. No? Okay, good. I'm teaching him something. You know when something germinates and it sends up a shoot, is usually cotyledons, the first leaves. These have no leaves. They just send up a shoot, so you think it's some weed or something else. Be careful. It sends up a shoot, and then later it gets leaves on it. Lifespan. Who asked me about lifespan of the trees? Charles did. It's a controversy depending on who you read. They say the trees last. Are you overheated?
Yes.
Okay, get some water. Okay. They can last from 30 to 120 years. Now, my original seedling tree from the late Roger Meyer, I got 35 years ago, and it's happy as a clam, continues to bear more fruit, etc. That's in my climate, my soil. Who knows? It varies from tree to tree, but you get at least 30 years. I don't think I'm going to last 30 years. He probably will. Okay. So, although the people last a long time in my family, they're stubborn. Okay, so let's see. I was going to say the grafted ones will start to flower sooner in 3 to 5 years as opposed to seedlings. At 10 years, you'll have a ton of fruit, okay, but you will start getting flowering sooner. Varieties. I'm trying to go fast to leave a lot of time for questions. I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast. There are 62 named varieties according to Kentucky State's website. Wonderful website. I'm not going to start listing varieties. I could keep going. How do you use the fruit? The Kentucky State website has a cookbook that is absolutely horrible. Every recipe sucks, okay? It's ridiculous. God knows why they add saturated fats, alcohol, corn syrup, you know, all the stuff we don't use anymore. Maybe it's because it's Kentucky or they haven't revised it. I can tell you in 30 years it's the same cookbook. But there are all kinds of things, so I'm warning you, don't bother with their cookbook. I tried a bunch. They're very nutritious. It has essentially everything. They're like sweet potatoes. Has potassium, calcium, phosphorus, B vitamins, zinc, manganese, iron, copper, almost all amino acids, has among the healthiest fats of fruits, kind of like avocados. And it's just a real boon. And of course, I really don't care about that. I care that they're really tasty. One of my favorite fruits. You can eat them fresh, or again, you can freeze the pulp for at least 4 to 6 months. You can dehydrate them, which I haven't done. You will see in literature that you can freeze them whole. I have never done that. It doesn't seem like, I don't want to separate them after they defrost. It seems like a pain. I make sorbets, smoothies, I've made pies, quick breads. There is a hipster banana brewing company, you'll be happy to know, that makes alcoholic beverages from Pawpaws. And of course, because it's called Hipster Banana Brewing Company, God knows what it costs. Anything that says hipster is going to cost you an arm and a leg. The Native Americans make cloth out of the bark. It's actually, I've had seen some of the shirts and stuff. They're kind of cool. And the wood is used by woodworking people. It's a very hard wood, very attractive peeling bark. It's really a gorgeous tree. Doesn't peel that much, but the bark's attractive. It forms a natural pyramid-like shape. There's health benefit research from the leaves and barks, starting from the Native American stuff. It's been used in cancer research to treat abscesses, as a laxative, as a diuretic. It kills lice, it does all kinds of things. Again, there are all these pawpaw festivals. I want someone to attend one and tell me what they're like. I want a report from him. Okay.
I have a friend in South Carolina this week.
What?
Last weekend in South Carolina, there was a big pawpaw festival.
You should have gone and given us a report. Okay. Does anybody know the Pawpaw song? Well, I don't know it either, and I can't sing, so okay. What?
Put it in your pocket, pick up Pawpaws, put them in your pocket, way down yonder in the pawpaw.
Oh, she's a. Okay. It's a favorite children's song. There are Pawpaw children's books. It's wild how well known it is and not here. Okay, if you want to look this stuff up, look at the Kentucky State Pawpaw site. The University of Pennsylvania is now the #2 research area. I didn't even know they had an agriculture school, but it makes sense. All the Ivy Leagues have agriculture schools, Cornell and most notably. So the University of Pennsylvania Pawpaw site. There is the North American Pawpaw Growers Association. There's the Michigan Department of Agriculture, and that's where you would look them up. Now, I am going to put my hearing aids back in, and then you can ask me questions. Now,
We're going to open that up. Let it start. Let this start cooling off. Let it warm up now. Your
oh, yes. He's reminding me to give him the sorbet to put out there. Here, can you put this on the refreshment table? And can you, those are the seeds of the pawpaws.
Want me to put that up?
No, that's a present from Charles for me. You don't get those. Okay. Now, let me put this back on. Can you hear me well enough without this? Okay.
Just make sure your questions are nice and loud too, so.
Questions are what?
They're loud so you can.
Yes, you need to yell at me. Enjoy yelling at me. I'm a bad guy. Yell at me. Yes, sir.
So where
Stand up and yell.
sorry, where are the trees located? Are they in a yard next to a wall? Are they?
Wherever you want them.
Okay.
Okay.
I bought a couple and they didn't last.
Where'd you plant them?
They were in the front yard. They had sort of afternoon sun, and they were
What kind of soil?
they just in the soil.
Okay, they need to be well drained. Okay. Also, if you want to have your fruit stolen, plant it in your front yard. I plant fruit in my front yard only that no one knows what they are.
Yeah.
So they're scared of them, okay? Okay, stand up. Too soft spoken, yell.
It's a two-kind question. So do you recommend when you start the seeds, to start them off in the refrigerator like that?
No, these are already refrigerated.
Or in
No, these you put in the ground.
Okay, and then also, do you recommend the seed starting or the grafting better?
I don't know. If you can find grafted trees, get them. If you would like fooling around with seeds, which I do and Charles does, plant them from seed. Oh, you want this
Yeah,
better?
they want to hear you.
Oh, okay.
I have a real quick question. Do you actually do some air layerings that anybody could actually get a
Could you put this on this? Okay.
Is there air layering or like between you where we could get a graft
I've never tried to air layer.
air layer? Yeah.
Air
I just
layer.
worry I'm not going to have enough time for that tree to grow.
Well, buy grafted trees. You look like you're going to last a long time and you're stubborn, so you'll stick around. Oh, okay. Who else had their hand up? Yes.
Do the coastal areas get enough heat that the fruit will be sweet?
Yes.
And does it take longer for it to ripen?
No. I am coastal and I get a ton. Up, I'm not doing it right.
No, I just got to keep this right from there.
Okay, thank you. He's my caregiver.
Talk about some of your. Can you talk about some of your varieties of pawpaw and the differences in flavor?
No.
No.
The reason, no, I'm not kidding. The reason that he likes how stubborn I am. The reason I can't tell you is, frankly, I have a lot of trees. And it's easy to track when it's like tomatoes and stuff like that. But if I'll put 3 or 4 trees in the same root thing, and I don't know which fruit is from which variety, and I would have to go out there with a magic marker and write on the fruit when they were developing. And frankly, all of the fruit tastes good to me, so I don't care. Okay. Yes?
When you were talking about the root barrier, how big are the tap roots? Like instead of a plastic root barrier, if I wanted to use cardboard cloth, could I do that?
It would go right through the cloth.
Huh?
It would go right through the cloth. It would go through chicken wire. You need that hard plastic root barrier.
But what about if you have gophers? Wouldn't the gophers want to eat it anyhow and keep it under control?
You know something? They don't go that deep. Okay. Now, gophers and moles, obviously, damn. Okay, this is moving
Yeah,
around.
it's moving all around. You don't have that hair like I don't have hair.
Okay, my caregiver's back. Okay,
I have 2 questions. So
you're gonna have to yell.
2 questions. If I pick the fruit before it's ripe, will it ripen on the counter?
If you pick it before it's ripe, it's a criminal offense. Okay, they're gonna come and get you. It depends on how unripe. If they're like a few weeks before ripeness, it'll ripen, it won't taste as good, and it might rot on the counter. But ripeness is a relative thing. Like I said, if an animal's taken a bite out of any of them, even if they seem unripe, get them. If they start to change color, the things I listed, they'll seem unripe, grab them, okay? Because animals and neighbors love them, okay?
And my second question, do I have to graft it after I grow it?
Do you have to what?
Do I have to graft it from the seeds that you brought?
No.
No.
No. My oldest tree is a seedling. I've never grafted to it, and it's very happy. Now, you'll read that seedlings don't produce tasty fruit. Everyone I know who's grown seedlings gets tasty fruit. So I don't know what that's about. Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, so the question I have is, how long is the harvest season for the pawpaw?
Very short.
Okay.
You better get them, pay attention. Pay attention when they start to flower, to hand pollinate. Pay attention when they harvest. I harvest them generally in one day because I'll notice an animal has partially eaten one.
Right.
Now, if you somehow have no animals, I don't know what country or planet maybe if you're on the space station, okay, then it can stretch out over a few weeks. Now, in its native environment where Charlie comes from in the sticks, they have these thickets with great variance because they're all seedlings, and I think it can extend over about 2 months. What?
This shows the native.
Yes, this is the native stuff where it grows, not in people's yards. That has an extended harvest, but not from the same tree.
Okay.
Okay, did I answer?
Well, one more question was, can you dry the fruit like
Yes.
apricots? Okay.
Yes, I don't do that. I have not done it because I'm too thrilled with eating it fresh, and the frozen stuff is wonderful to work with in doing things with it.
I want to try and propagate the seeds. Can you talk about the best practice for the
You can. I couldn't hear that. You want to propagate from seed.
What are the best practices for the first 6 months?
Talk to this guy here, Charles.
Should I stand up?
Yeah, go ahead.
The seeds I brought are from 2024. Shortly after I harvested the fruit and sorted through, I stuck them in the fridge. In June, I took a handful out and I basically just threw them on top of a pot. Now, what Charles said about them poking up, sometimes you'll see the seed, the remnant of the seed husk sticking up out of the ground. No leaves, as he said. They will develop the roots first. These are along the Missouri River in Missouri. I harvested in Kansas and Nebraska, not Iowa. This shows that the fruit can be in clusters. That's why I included that. The top left is to show the understory. The small tree is the pawpaw. The big tree is one of possibly an oak, possibly I can't think of hackberry or just a locust maybe.
Right.
Probably locust. This shows again the understory, just the fact that if you go through, I don't use a machete. I try to weave my way through because I don't want to hurt the plants. This one is in a park in the city of St. Joseph, Missouri. Wow. The idea showing, you see the mowed grass. It doesn't have to be totally understory. It can be in the transition zone between woods and not woods. My experience, in 1992, I went back to Bluff Woods Conservation Area. I dug up, which is I learned the hard way, I dug up about a dozen suckers, if you will. Think of a lowercase t, the shape of a lowercase t, upside down. The sucker goes along and then up shoots. There will be hardly any roots. I brought back a 10 or 12. I planted them about a foot away from the foundation of my house on the north side. I figured the north side is going to replicate the natural conditions as closely as I could, clay soil, so I just stuck them in the dirt. 4 of them lived. And as we were talking earlier, after 35 years, 3 have since died. They were probably that diameter. 1 is still alive. I have grafted onto it. This year I got no fruit. I'm not sure if any questions.
You know why they died?
Old age, I'm thinking. I have an eastern redbud tree that grew up volunteer nearby. My theory is that maybe the roots provided competition. I'm going to get rid of the redbud, even though it's a beautiful tree for like 3 weeks in the spring.
What variety are your seeds?
Native North American along the Missouri River. Okay.
I have clay soil too, so I was wondering, I had seen for like blueberries, somebody mentioned that not to plant it all the way in.
If you're talking to me, I can't hear you.
I said, I also have clay soil like the other gentleman has, But I was wondering if, like someone had mentioned for blueberries, for people that have clay soil, to not plant it all the way in, that have the root crown, like mound up the acidic soil above and have the root crown above. Can that be done with the pawpaw, and then the roots will eventually make its way in?
If you have clay soil, number one, never use manure. That's how they built the pyramids, okay, is making bricks with manure and, okay, so no manure with the clay. But you want to add horticultural gypsum. It'll make the soil more friable. So, and then you can, after you put the gypsum in and hopefully a bunch of organic material, a few months later you can plant it the full depth.
So you favor gypsum over...
I can't hear you.
So you favor gypsum over sulfur or cottonseed?
Do not use sulfur. Sulfur burns roots. What's happening is commercial growers of blueberries and everything else are stopping using sulfur because the plants don't live as long. It burns the roots. I stopped using sulfur about 30 plus years ago. What I do is if you add organic material, you know, your cuttings, compost, whatever, you lower the pH by 1.0 with just a few inches of mulch and the rest. And I can get in a big, you know, 50-gallon plastic garbage can where I make my blueberry soil mix. It gets down to 5.5 to 5.0 just because I mix in organic material, particularly pine needles, will reduce the pH. Okay, other.
We have a couple more. We're gonna.
Okay.
So we got 2 pawpaw trees from one green world.
Why don't you walk over
We can't
here?
hear you very well. That's far. So you get all the
So we got 2 pawpaw trees from one green world.
2 pawpaw trees, what?
From the nursery called One Green World.
We've got 2 pawpaw trees
From one green world, yes.
Yeah, so I can show you.
No, careful. We have all these requirements.
So what happened is we didn't know supposed to plant it under some big tree. We just planted it independently.
Where do you live?
RPV, somewhere up the.
What town?
Rancho Palos Verdes.
You don't need to do it as an understory. You can put it in full sun if you want.
But the problem is the leaf dries off, like on the edges of it. It's all like crystal burned.
That one you could put.
Shade.
If you have crystals on the edge of your leaves and they're burning, that's because you're over fertilizing.
We never fertilize.
Well, then someone's put stuff in your soil that reflects usually that there's too much of either potassium, phosphorus, or nitrogen.
So how should I fix the soil?
We're gonna stop. I might have you go talk to him afterwards because that's like a personal just.
Oh, okay, you're right.
I wanted to also share real quickly here. We have now the. Thank you so much too.
Oh, okay.
First of all, let's do a round of applause for this.
So am I finished? I'm finished?
And I must